Hello, this is Tom Christiano for the Chelmsford News, and I'm at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts with one of the resident artists, Trina Teele. How are you, Trina?
Hi, Tom. It's good to be with you.
Thanks for being on the show again. I remember you were on my other show on cable TV,
Yes.
the Tom Christiano Show, and you were there with like 5 other artists or whatever. We had a great time.
It was a lot of fun.
And so now we're doing something different because I have the Chelmsford News Show and the Chelmsford News Group and also the Chelmsford Arts Group. So we'll get this video on all of those venues and we'll see how it goes. We'll talk about your art and all of that. How's that sound, Trina?
Sounds great. I'm happy about it.
And so we're taping this, well, it's the last day of May. We're taping this of 2018. And Trina, how long have you been here in the studio now? It's been a number of years, right?
They renovated this building in 2012 and I got invited in at that point. And so I've been there for 6 years now.
About 6 years. Well, remember the big renovation? We spent, what, millions of dollars on it. I forgot exactly how many, but I'm so glad we did save this building,
Oh,
aren't
yes.
you, as a
It's
town
beautiful
building?
and
Yes.
it defines the area.
I think it does.
It's really nice.
I call it the iconic image for Chelmsford,
Yeah.
in the sense that it was, as most people know, I think it was built maybe around 1879. It was our Chelmsford Town Hall back then. And it was a town hall for a long time. And then we moved our town offices to Billerica Road. And that's when this building kind of became available.
Yeah.
And some people were thinking of making it into apartments
Yes.
about 7 years ago. And then there was a big protest in town about that.
Yep.
So, no, we want to make it a Chelmsford Center for the Arts. Remember all that,
Yes,
Trina?
I remember being so pleased that it happened. So.
Yeah. Me too, and we maintain it well, right? And I think it's doing great. There's 3 resident artists right here.
Yes. There's Donna Berger is right on the one side of me, and then Rita Thompson is on the other side.
And you all 3 have been here since the beginning,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is nice.
Wow. So, what are the studio hours here that you have people can just walk in and stop by?
Well, people can always come by appointment anytime. Just message any of us, and I'm sure we'll meet you here. And then also we do open studios on the 2nd Saturday of each month. So that's, the 2nd Saturday, and then from 1 to 4 is when we're here, and that happens pretty much every month.
And do you get many visitors on those open Saturdays?
It's different. It's seasonal, I think. There's
see,
different
yeah.
times of year when people are looking to get out and do something like go visit some art studios.
Yeah. And by the way, when you do have those studios, like that morning or the day before, please post it on the Chelmsford News or the Chelmsford Arts page to remind people.
Yes.
Because I just think they forget and they
Yeah.
could use quick reminders. Some may not even know about it. So, because we want to get people over here and supporting our local artists. It's very hard making a living as an artist, right? And could you tell us about how you do it? You're also a graphic designer or something?
Yeah. When I went to college, I majored in art, in painting and graphic design. So when I graduated, I got a job right away in graphic design. Back then, it was all paste up and old-fashioned kind of graphic design, but it was right at the crest of the wave of going on computers, and I was happy to be swept up in that because that made it easier, and I so much appreciate being able to do graphic design on a computer, because although I feel confident in my skills of composition and design and all that sort of thing, doing it neatly, which is the way we used to have to do it, is a challenge. So now on a computer, there's no worries of spilling the ink or anything. So,
which is wonderful.
Yeah. So,
doesn't Donna do that as well? Work a lot on the computer, her graphic design?
Yeah, she actually she does her graphic design, and she also does children's book illustration on the computer. So,
a lot on the computer.
So yeah, the computers make commercial design much easier.
Yes.
Because it's a little bit more freeing.
Yes.
And so I've been doing that ever since I graduated from college.
What college did you go to, Mike?
I started at Trinity College in Hartford.
Oh.
And when I started, I thought I was going into the humanities. I didn't have a job and in sight. I didn't know what I was going for. I just knew I was interested in the humanities. And then I transferred after a semester to UMass Amherst. And in transferring, they wanted me to pick something. So I had to just choose, and I decided, well, I love art, you know, maybe I'll go become an art teacher or something. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just did that, and they accepted me with a full scholarship, which is really a big boost to my ego at that time. And so I continued with that, and halfway through college, I decided that becoming an art teacher wasn't quite right for me at that point, because I didn't feel quite like an artist that could teach people yet. So I wanted to change it. I switched to painting and graphic design at that point.
Nice. And you received, did you get a Bachelor of Arts degree?
I got my Bachelor's of Arts, Fine Arts, and did graphic design. I think I worked in the the real world, corporate world, for about 15 years. And then I went freelance, and I've been doing it that way ever since.
And it's going well, the freelance, kind of the way you do it now?
Yeah, I think I have about 6 to 9 clients. A couple of the clients sort of split off into branches, so I never know whether to call them different clients or not. But
that's wonderful.
So they keep me pretty busy.
So they assign you various works or projects, and then you accomplish them here? You do them here in the studio?
I usually don't do them here in the studio. I did at first, and then I started to find that whenever my computer was in the studio, I wasn't doing my art. So I just felt it was better to not have my computer here at the studio, or not have it regularly here. Yes. So I work from home when I have graphic design work, and when I don't have graphic design work, I come here and I have to just buckle down and get started with my painting, which, you know, sometimes it's very hard to start, and that's where I struggle, I think, is how to get started painting. But if I know I only have a limited time, I just make myself do it.
Yes. And so you paint almost every day, would you say, Trina?
No. I did for a long stretch. I had a big focus of I'm going to do something creative every day, and I had a blog that I started in 2010 with that purpose. Every day I was going to put something on that blog that was creative and write a couple words about it. So I did that probably for 5 years, 6 years, every day.
I think I remember that. I think I used to see it, or subscribe to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of your drawings or stuff, things that you did that day, and you might write a few words about it.
It was helpful because I needed to feel like I was an artist at the time. I wasn't feeling like an artist, and it helped me get back into that frame of mind because I saw how much I was producing. And then also, I think it's helpful for an artist to remember what they were thinking when you're working on a piece of art. What's going through your head? What's inspiring you to do this? And sometimes you forget. So by blogging about it, even if it's just 2 sentences, it would be enough to trigger the memory of why I painted that or something. So
that's something I feel is very important too, is keeping a journal. I don't publish it the way you do it for that particular blog, but since about 1983, I've been keeping a journal every day, just on spiral notebooks. I learned how to do that because if your paper is too valuable, you tend not to write the more mundane things there, or not even write it all. Oh, this book is so perfect, I don't want to mess it up.
Right.
So I learned to just get 3-ring spiral notebooks, and I have tons of them now in my house. I'm glad I saved them all. But for me, they're incentives to do the various things that I do. For example, I bicycle almost every day during the season, except for the coldest days and months. And it helps me compare how many miles did I do last year at this point. Like right now, I'm 130 miles ahead of my pace for last year, bicycling. And it gives me an incentive to reach my goal of bicycling for the year. And the same thing when I paint, I put where I painted, what I painted that day, maybe the colors I used, how much time I spent. I also do push-ups and knee bends and sit-ups every day in the house. I keep track of those as well. And then other things that I might have done, like our taping today. So I find keeping a journal, and on the computer you might call it a blog, is very helpful for the creative community or for anyone really.
I am a big fan of writing, and like you, I have been writing 3 pages a day in spiral ring notebooks since 2010. And I find it really, it just helps me sort of flesh out things in my brain that are floating around and just like move past them. Oftentimes I'll be stuck on a problem and I'll write it out and ask myself the question, and then I'm able to somehow come up with an answer. So it's sort of a therapeutic thing for me.
Well, you know what that reminds me of, and you may have gotten the idea here, is Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way.
That is where it came from for me.
And one of the things she recommends for everyone who is creative is to sit down, I think she calls it sit at the pages or whatever, or do like 3 pages a day.
Morning
and
pages.
Don't worry about it.
Yes.
You know, what you're writing, just like a stream of consciousness kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is great advice. It's not something I particularly follow though. Mine is more writing down what I did and to give me an incentive and a record of what I did and you know, even who I had lunch with or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, it's fun because you can't remember what I did like in December 12th of the year 2002 unless you have it written down somewhere.
Right.
And document it.
And you can look back a year later and say, oh,
Yeah.
I was doing this last year at this time too, and now I'm a level above.
Yeah. And I learned in graduate school too how journaling is very useful for one's spiritual and psychological growth.
Yes.
For example, when we do that, we get to know ourselves better,
Right.
As human. If you see, like, consistently, I'm out there doing push-ups, knee bends, and biking, and health, and everything, you know that that's important to me as a human being. And then I found that once you understand yourself and really get to know yourself, then follow your true path. Be true to yourself, and that leads to inner peace and happiness.
Absolutely.
In this world. So that's why I learned it.
So you accept that you're into the fitness, the physical fitness, and you just embrace it.
And embrace it and do it. So,
Yes.
so I think both of us recommend journaling for
Yes.
just 3-ring spiral notebooks or whatever,
Yeah.
and do it. And also, if you like the arts and want to learn to be a good artist, I think Trina would agree to try to do something every day, even for a minute, just because I found the hard part is getting started.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you can pick up a pencil or a brush or something and do something every day, that really helps you improve. We were talking about this earlier today too. The more you do, the better you become as an artist. For example, I had heard an old cliche a while ago about you really learn watercolor by doing at least 1,000 watercolor paintings, right? And it's true, the more that I've done, I think you just improve, you can't help it.
Right.
You improve through experience.
Right, well, Julia Cameron, who you just mentioned, she says that, she has a quote that the artist provides the quantity and something beyond provides the quality.
Yes.
So you just go and go and go and make as much as you can. And or Malcolm Gladwell, he talks about the 10,000 hours.
That's wonderful, which is, I have that too.
And so, you know, you think of the Beatles and all their jams that they would do in dive bars for years and years.
And not in Germany, Hamburg, Germany, whatever.
And they got really tight.
They were fantastic because they put in all the hours.
Yeah.
So I agree, I love that idea and that concept. I think about it periodically. The 10,000 hours, if you really want to learn something, you know, put in the hours.
Yeah.
And you know, you don't have to count out like I hit 800 now, of course. It's just, but basically it means work at it. I'll keep trying. In fact, I just had the quote of the day today that I might have it in my daily meditations group on Facebook is about Isaac Asimov, the writer, talked about to be a creative person, just to keep at it and keep trying and trying. And he said, if you do have some talent, you will succeed, even to some extent.
Yeah.
Just keep persisting at it. The same kind of idea. And so I painted a lot too, you know, not a lot like you, but I enjoy the arts a lot. But I know the more that I do, the better I could become and that kind of thing.
I think that all of us have, you know, if you have an interest in doing art in any level, then you should embrace it and let it happen.
Yeah.
That's one of my other jobs, you know, other than being a graphic designer and then doing my art here, is I've been teaching, and I've been doing that since I think 2013 or 12, I guess 2012 probably. I never thought that I would actually become a teacher, but I was approached by Ellen Andre from the Art of Wine in Lowell, and she had a little program there where people would come and paint paintings in a night and also sample wines. And so I went to check it out to see if it was something that I might be interested in teaching at. And I was really pleasantly surprised by the energy in the room, just everybody having so much fun painting.
Oh, nice.
Of course, they were sampling some wine as well, but that's fun too.
Yeah.
And so I started teaching there, and I was so surprised because I did not think I would like doing that. And it was so much fun that I did it. And when the Art of Wine closed their doors in 2014, I bought their supplies and set it up here. With the hopes that people would still want to paint, even though I'm not going to give them wine.
Yes.
That people would still want to have that experience of painting a painting in one night.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I do get people every session, which is really really encouraging. I used to do two classes a month,
Yes.
and so this is the joy of painting that I'm talking about. And I don't know if I have, let me just connect.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Okay.
She has these flyers here.
Yes. So the Joy of Paint is a single session painting class that I teach. I just do one class a month now. I used to do two.
Oh.
And you come, you arrive, you pay $35, you arrive at 6:45 on a Wednesday night. And
Here at the CCA.
Here at the CCA, and you, I'll lead you through a painting step by step.
Nice.
And I really enjoyed this process of teaching people, and I teach them sort of the way that I paint my own paintings, in the sense that I want people to block in the painting first, and then I hope that once it's all blocked in, that they can enjoy themselves and really start to paint and play with the paint. And that's sort of my goal, is to get people to the point of, okay, we've got it all blocked in now, let's have fun playing with the paint. And that's what I try to do with my paintings now in those classes. And those are posted on the Chelmsford, the CCA's website, right on their front page. Each month you'll see a different painting, and you can sign up there. We also post on the Chelmsford Arts and the Chelmsford News pages.
There are groups on Facebook, and please join if you're interested in the arts. Please join the Chelmsford Arts group and the Chelmsford News group. If you're interested in Chelmsford and you live here, or you come into Chelmsford periodically, please request to join the Chelmsford News group on Facebook. We have over 13,600 members there now, and about 850 members on the Chelmsford Arts group.
Yes.
And so you teach in addition to that?
So
Trina?
I teach paintings. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I teach 16 by 20 paintings for that. And then I found that some of my students would come regularly. People would sign up every month to come to paint another painting, which is really nice to have happen.
Yes.
And I felt like, well, they might be ready to do something on their own.
Yes.
And so I started another class that meets in blocks of sessions, so it's about 4 Monday nights a month. Is usually what happens, and that's called Get Yourself Painting. And what it is, it's an opportunity for people who want to take the next step, or who just need a class to get them out of the house and sitting down and painting, focused on painting. And so I've been doing these Get Yourself Painting classes. I'm not sure when I started doing that. It feels like it might be almost a year now. And that's a lot of fun, because the students get to paint their own ideas, and I will, if they don't know how to start, I can help them, because I can look at their idea and help them understand where they should start. And if they want to just dive in, they can, and if they get stuck, they can ask me a question, and I can help them with, traditional art class fundamentals. I certainly have that down, and it's really kind of a lot of fun to have a class of 6 students, for example, and they're all painting completely different subject matter, and I'm bouncing from one to the other. I feel like I'm sort of virtually painting these paintings.
Yes.
Like I'm not touching their paint at all, but
Yes.
but in my head I'm thinking, how how would I do this? And it's very exciting.
Nice. And how often do you do that, Trina?
That I try to get a session set up every month.
Oh, just one a month?
Yeah, well, there are four.
Four
classes
I see.
as a session. So.
So it's almost like once a week for like 4 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And you could also post that, or you will, or do,
Yes.
on the Chelmsford News and the Chelmsford Arts pages on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you're interested, please look for that. Also, Trina, if people want to contact you, if they're not in those groups, for example, would you mind giving out your contact information, at least your email address?
Yeah,
or would
yeah.
you?
So the email address that I use for my art stuff is Teele. KC.
And the K stands for Catherine, is it?
K stands for Catherine. My name is Trina, but my given name was Catherine, and C is my maiden name was Chadwick. So Catherine Chadwick Teele. So kcteele@gmail.
And the Teele is Teele?
Yes.
At gmail.com?
Yes.
Beautiful, that's easy.
Yeah, yeah.
So they could send you an email
Yeah.
if they're interested, or if they have a question,
Yeah.
want some more information.
Yeah. So I also I teach private students in my class. If you want a private class, so that's one-on-one usually, and I've done that with painting and drawing and iPad art. So that's been kind of interesting, and I think that the Get Yourself Painting class feels like a group private lesson almost. So that's been good.
Nice. And Trina, let's talk a little bit about your art. I guess we have some of your beautiful paintings here in the background. There's nice, it looks like grapefruit there, some orange maybe, or
Yeah,
some
sometimes
citrus.
Yep.
Beautifully done. That's acrylic, right? So
Yes.
sometimes you paint with acrylics,
Right.
and sometimes with oils, right?
Right. So for a long time I was painting with acrylics and loving it just because it's a great. I think it's a good tool to really explore because it dries quickly and you can just paint over it if it didn't work out right. And usually my Joy to Paint classes are all acrylic. With about, I guess, 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, 3 years ago I started painting with oils again. I did it in college, but I'm painting again with oils, and I'm really enjoying the unexpected qualities of oils, things that you can't necessarily predict are going to happen, which is kind of exciting, and it's like watercolor in that way. So so I've been doing that, and I painted a whole series of citrus paintings one winter because I didn't have any flowers. For a long time I painted flowers, and then I switched to citrus in the winter. I tend to paint in series, so that way I can go deeper into the subject matter and explore it a little bit more. And then when I switched to oil painting, I wanted something completely different. So I decided I would go to landscapes, but then I didn't really want to do landscapes, so I went to seascapes. So most of what I've been doing for the past 3 years have been seascapes.
Which are amazing and beautiful, and I love your boats and everything. Maybe later on I'll take a shot of some of your boat paintings and seascapes.
Yes.
They're amazing, and plus you spend time at Martha's Vineyard, right?
Yes.
So maybe you even do some sketching out there, I don't know, and that's why you
Yes.
know boats so well.
Yeah,
Didn't you have boats in your family growing up?
Yes, boats are big in my family growing up, and that was part of the reason I was exploring the boats. I just wanted to go into that a little bit deeper, to explore my childhood a little bit more, and there's most of the I have right now 16 paintings on exhibit in the Groton Inn.
Oh, wonderful.
The new Groton Inn.
So how long will they be up, Trina?
They're probably up till October.
Wonderful. 16
yeah.
until October. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
At the new Groton Inn.
Yes, very exciting to be part of that, and with the other artists that were selected. So
4 other artists or
I
something?
believe there's 5 other artists.
5 other artists. Nice.
And so that's very exciting, and so there's not a whole lot of boats in here right now. I'm working to create some new pieces right now for an opportunity that I got to exhibit in November in Boston with Paul Padula. And so I'm looking forward to that, and I hope I can come up with some exciting pieces to put in his space there.
I'm sure you can, Trina. Everything you do is exciting and beautiful.
Thank
You're
you.
such a great artist, by the way. And I think everybody in Chelmsford realizes that and appreciates that.
That's wonderful.
Because you're doing great work. It's amazing. And people don't realize, we were talking about this earlier, how difficult it is to paint the fruits and the boats and the seascapes and landscapes the way you do until you try doing it. Then you kind of realize how difficult it is.
Yeah,
You know?
well,
But
it's difficult, but it's meditative too. I mean, I
Yes.
think it's a worthwhile endeavor. I felt that right from that's the one constant from art from being a child for me was that it was always calming for me to
Yes.
just sit and draw or paint,
Yes.
and it still is. So I find a lot of peace when I get to do this.
Well, I agree, Trina, and that's why I paint a lot too, but I call it like a daily meditation.
Yes.
When I'm out on the deck or in my office or whatever, you have total concentration on what you're doing and creating. If you do it for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, it's a beautiful form of meditation. There's all kinds of types of meditation, walking meditation, sitting meditation, and painting meditation, drawing meditation. I also learned that you never really see something until you draw it. I took a wonderful class called the Zen of Seeing, and it was a wonderful thing about painting. And I was out drawing all over the place, and you look back in those drawings, it brings you back to that,
Right.
and you really remember because you jotted down or drew those details.
Well, your brain was so clear and focused on the shapes or what you're observing
Yes.
that there's no other clutter. So it's like very very close close at hand, and I love that feeling, and that's usually what inspires me to paint something. Is I'll look at something and there'll be a strange shape of color that I'm not registering with my left side of the brain. I'm not registering that, oh, that's a corner of the sail or something.
Yes.
Of a sailboat. I'm just seeing it as this weird looking shape, and to me that draws me in to want to paint it and
Yes.
explore it more. And so so that's that's the right side of the brain, which I think so many of us would benefit to experience that. You think of former President Bush. When he finished being president, he went to painting, and now he's very successful. I think it's probably very welcome for his thinking and stuff to get away from the left brain stuff and just explore art for a while.
Yes, he's coming a long way
Yeah.
with it, and he put a book together, as you may know, the portraits of a lot
Yes.
of men and
Wonderful
women who are
thing.
injured
Wonderful
overseas,
Yeah.
and so it's a wonderful, art is a wonderful thing,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful talking with you, Trina. Every time I have you on one of my shows, I love it, and I think the time just flies by. I can't
It
believe
does.
how the 30 minutes went by so quickly.
Yeah.
So it's great talking with you, Trina, and if people want to get in touch with you, they have your email address, which is on the tape earlier, but you can mention it again now if you'd
Okay,
like.
so it's kcteele@gmail.com.
gmail.com. So they could contact you there, you have the classes, and you have a studio here at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's great talking with you, Trina. Thank you very much for being on our Chelmsford News Show, and I hope to see you around town very soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. I'm here at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts at the studio of Trina Teele, and I'm going to show you a few of her paintings that she has on the walls at the moment here in her studio. You could see how beautiful they are. And Trina paints in both oils and acrylics, and with watercolor sometimes as well, but mostly oil paintings and acrylics. You could see this big citrus fruit painting. Is this acrylic, Trina? This acrylic painting here. And she loves the seascapes and the nautical, the boat type of paintings. Trina is very familiar with boats from vacationing and having a home, I think, in Martha's Vineyard. So she does a lot with the seascapes, like this one here is beautiful. A nice like water lily type painting there. And here's another one of her boat paintings. And more seascapes and boat and type paintings here. So again, this is at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts, and you could stop in and see Trina's studio sometime. I just taped a video with Trina, so that's why I'm here and taping these paintings here. This is another one I love. This is a big one.